Hi guys, welcome back to the 401 Files. It's an absolute pleasure, as I always say, to be joined by so many like-minded people from all around the world. Now, if you are new here and you have an interest in things like UFOs and extraterrestrials, strange creatures like Bigfoot and the Dogman, even the paranormal, then you have landed in the right location. So please do stick around by hitting that subscribe button, drop a comment down below, let everybody know that you're new here. And I'm sure that the 401 Files family will welcome you with open arms. Now, without further ado, guys, as you can see behind me, Lil, where is she? There she is. Lil is eager and keen to get on this little explore, this adventure today, here in this typical hotspot that we have in the UK, notorious for strange reports. So without further ado, kick back, relax, and enjoy.
And the first morning that I was leaving, it was probably like, I don't know, 7:38 in the morning or something like that. And it's an old logging road, really teeny little road. And I just turned around this one corner and I thought I saw like the butt of an elk or something. I couldn't quite figure it out. There's a little creek right there. So I thought I was just bending over, getting a drink in the creek. And so I pulled around the corner a little closer and then he stood up. I'm assuming he, because I didn't see anything female. He stood up and looked at me, and he had like a rabbit or something in his hands, and he was washing it off in the creek. And he just looked at me, and I immediately, stopped my truck and just was staring back at him. And he just kind of kept looking at me in this really strange look, kind of just like, leave me alone, I'm doing something. And so, so I just sat there and watched the back of him for about, probably seemed like a long time, but probably like 15 seconds. And then I wanted to...
Well, these mosquitoes are absolutely relentless. They're even biting through my cap. I'm not sure how that's possible. This is thick. Definitely through the, the bit where you fasten the cap up at the back, the gap where your head's exposed. I've been bit a few times there already, so not pleasant. So yeah, the first thing I want to talk to you guys about while I'm here in this forest is some recent progress with the documentary. A lot of you people that have been here a long time will be eager to hear this, but boy oh boy, has there been some really weird developments in the making of this documentary. Now, this documentary, it's been like 4 years in the making. Hey Robin, just gonna flip the camera, show you my little guess. He's listening in. He wants to hear about the documentary. Hey buddy. I've got to be careful what I say now. That Robin could be a robot working for the Men in Black. No, but on a serious note, some really weird developments with the documentary. There's been some really big key players that have helped me with interviews and things like that. I wish I could put valuable pieces of footage that I've gained over these years into a video right now for you guys to enjoy, but it wouldn't be doing me any justice. Let's just say this though. Let's just say that these places, like where I am right now, these national parks, the National Forestry Commission, and people that monitor, take care, and do a great job in maintaining these places. Some of them, not all of them, 100% though, some of them do a great job at also holding back information. When I know that they know, reports have been given in of strange things that don't make sense. Now, because they don't make sense, because these people that are coming to report these stories, in their eyes, a tin-foil hat-wearing lunatics, they feel it's necessary to shun them off, not pass the information on to anyone that is willing to listen, like myself. But I know, because I've spoken to the people firsthand that have had the experiences. Why is that? Why would the Forestry Commission or members of the Forestry Commission feel the need to withhold information or stories even? Like, just there's no harm in you telling me what you was told, right? But I know for a fact that they don't do that. Whether it's because they feel embarrassed, like second-hand embarrassment, or there is something more at play, I really don't know. But I have a huge hunch that there is a whole other rabbit hole to dive down when we start talking on this subject, and all that will become clear in the documentary. I don't want to throw myself behind bars just yet. I don't want to be sniped before the documentary is released, so I have to keep my cards close to my chest. But let's just say you guys are in for a ride. Another blue balloon. Another blue balloon. So I've recently had people sending me, very kind people, sending me super chats down in the comments box below, and this is towards the drone fund. You guys honestly amaze me every single time. I briefly mentioned that I do miss my drone, and that drone footage certainly brings a new element towards content creation. It adds a different element just visually, and I do miss playing around with that and having that at my disposal to create atmospheric, creepy content. But also as well, you know, having a drone gives you the advantage of being able to cover large areas from a completely different perspective than when I'm boots on the ground making my way through the forest. So yeah, a lot of you guys commented below with super chats, which are really helpful. And I also gained 2 more patrons as well, since one of you lovely people mentioned I should maybe talk about that more. So that's why I'm doing it. I'm not in this for the money. You guys know that I've done this free of charge for 6 years now, and I've completely dedicated my heart and soul into this channel, which is good. A lot of you people seem to enjoy what I have to say, and you enjoy the beautiful scenery where I get out into. And yeah, so you people that have become Patreons, your name will appear at the end of this video. Anybody else that wants to become a Patreon, please do so, and you'll have your name added to the list as well. And hopefully before we know it, we'll have the drone and we'll be able to fly that little sucker above all these trees and see what's moving down below. I've been fascinated with this subject, you know, from a very young child, and I mean, me sitting here right now talking to you, I think you can see the passion that comes out of me when I talk about it. Sometimes it can be too much, especially when I'm at family functions or parties, but it's always there. It's constantly this burning desire for more answers to some of these things that we can't yet understand, because, you know, I'm one of those guys, I need to know. Okay, so call me a conspiracy theorist. I have no idea what these green spray paint markings on the trees mean, but isn't it weird that they're making a perfect circle around where this thing has landed? Now, did they originally come and spray paint this area and think, right, these trees are coming down at some point, we maybe need to mark this up so the guy coming in to do the job knows where he's doing it, and whoever is frequent in this area realizes what those marks mean, and so has left his own mark for whatever reason? Or is it option B, that this here means something to someone or something, and these people have marked the area accordingly? Or is it all just coincidental? But those marks aren't anywhere else. If you look at any of these other trees beyond the circle around this tree, there are no markings. Literally no tree with any green marking on. But around in a circle, where this thing is. Coincidence? I'm not sure. So it was so interesting to see that I had some great feedback on the last video, I believe, when I spoke about Travis Walton and his abduction case. You know, I basically, in my mind, how I like to perceive this is jumped out of a box within a box. You know, we all talk about thinking outside of the box. Well, I did that from outside the box. Because in that Travis Walton case, what most people do is they concentrate on the abduction itself, the creatures themselves, what happened on the spacecraft. They're all the things that everybody's interested in, right? Me included. But it's the small details that I think are where we're going to find the hidden gems. And that's why I'm referring to this as being like, you know, jumping out of a box within a box, because I concentrated on where they dropped him off. Quite a distance from where they'd taken him, up on the mountainside within the pine forest. And within that, I spoke to you guys about it, and I said that we can take so much information just by that one calculated decision. We can assume that they're not opportunists. They're not just idiots driving around these spacecraft, abducting people at will just because there he was. When you take someone from an environment like this, and you understand consciously in your head that maybe you've screwed with them a little bit, maybe they're not going to be in the right frame of mind to make it back down the mountain, let's drop them off at the side of the road where it's a bit more open, a bit more flat and solid ground. That one decision tells me everything. They're conscious beings. They provide logic to their decision making. They have compassion, empathy. You see, all this information has just come from that one act of them deciding to drop him off at the side of the road. And I encourage everyone to do what I'm doing right now. Thinking outside of the box within a box. Yes, it's great to think about the beings. It's great to hear the details of what the craft looked like on the inside. But let's look at the other stuff. You know, it's the same can be said with the Patterson-Gimlin footage. What does everybody do? Everybody concentrates on whether it was a suit or not. Everybody concentrates on whether she was a male or a female, or was Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin lying? Was this all a hoax? I concentrate on little details. So the questions I would be asking is, how long has that been a dry riverbed? Because once we get the answer to that, we can then understand a lot more about the environment, what she maybe was doing there. Has it recently dried up? Because this might have been a regular occurrence. She might have come back here every spring to get water, and this time she's turned up, there is no water, and she's been caught out in the open. See, all this stuff from thinking out of a box within a box helps us always concentrate on the small details. What was the build-up story before Roger and Bob Gimlin saw Patty? What was they doing there? I know a lot of people know this now, but they're the questions we need to be asking. Not, was it a suit, was it not a suit, was she female, was she not? Always concentrate on the things that seem irrelevant, seem, you know, stupid to ask. Because I guarantee you now, they're not the stupid questions to ask. They are the most important questions to ask, with probably the most valuable information to be gained from asking them. So something that I forgot to mention while briefly talking about the Patreon earlier on is that any footage or any clips that don't get to the final cut of making these videos will be going over on the Patreon, so you guys can scour through content that not everyone gets to see here on the channel. But also I'm taking photos as well all the time, so there'll be hundreds of photos being uploaded to the Patreon. I know that a lot of you guys out there and women are geeky like me, and you like to really dive deep into some of these pieces of footage, because there's things I'm going to miss. I'm only human, and I have missed many times before here on the channel. So yeah, over on the Patreon I will be uploading tons of photos while I'm out on these explores, and there'll be footage as well that doesn't make the final cut. So I thought that would be worth mentioning. Oh my god, it's warm. I'm going to take this coat off in a second. I just don't want to get eaten alive by the flying insects. Screw it, I will take it off. I was just thinking, again, as I always do, you know, oftentimes us researchers, us investigators that are out here, we often think that it's likely going to be us that finds the smoking gun. And I wonder how much truth is to that, as opposed to how much of a hindrance that is. Because you see, when I'm out here filming, I'm in the zone. I know why I'm here. I'm looking for things, whether it be on photographs, video footage, bumping into a witness, whatever it may be. I'm looking for something that will set me on my journey that bit further. But in doing so, sometimes you get caught up in the actual filming process, the actual process of being here to document your findings. So that means that you're throwing your bag down on the ground, you're stomping through grass, you're trying to get the right angle for video and photo, you're stopping to chat to the camera, and all of these things are unnatural in this environment. The animals that live here don't hear people talking to their camera on a daily basis. So when that happens, when I do come here and I do that, what do you think every animal in this area is going to do? That's right. They're going to shut up shop. They're going to get in their burrows out of this area and completely go radio silent, because it's not the norm for these animals, for the wildlife in this area. So if we are going down the flesh and blood, or even if we're not, even if we're talking extraterrestrial on this subject, me making this noise, me doing things that is not normal to this environment, might be a hindrance and might actually give me less of a chance to discovering something than, say, the average dog walker, you know, who's just in the zone. They're out here to enjoy nature, walking their dog, making no noise. They're likely the people that are going to see something. It could be the guy, you know, he's just finished up riding the trails with his friends. Hey guys, I'm going to head back to the car now, I'll catch you all tomorrow. He's in the zone with his thoughts, just riding on his bike silently, comes to a clearing, lo and behold, he sees something. Those are the people that are going to see something. And so when us investigators get out into these areas, I think that we're under the illusion often that it's going to be us. You know, I'm an investigator, I'm a researcher. And we have to be realistic about this, you know. Unless you are literally living like the animals in this area, when you're out doing your filming and doing your documentation, it's very unlikely that you're going to be the one that stumbles across something. But we have to do it, because if we don't, we miss the witnesses, we miss the one time that something was in the woods hovering off the ground, or, you know, we have to do it. But I'm just putting that out there to any investigator, any other YouTube content creator, or anyone that's in these fields. Most of them will already know this, but sometimes people get above their station and they believe that we are the guys to find the smoking gun. Likely that is very far from the truth, but it's essential that we continue to keep doing it, because if we don't, how will we be able to you know, for example, okay, let me go back a bit. A lot of these people that have experiences in these areas, they have the experience, they'll go home and within the four walls of their house maybe tell their immediate family. But beyond that, the stories sometimes don't travel much further. However, if I'm here and I see someone on the trail who's distressed, or, you know, there's commotion, or I've heard something drifting along down the grapevine of someone having an experience just down there, or whatever it may be, you never know what could happen. I mean, look at me a few weeks back. I didn't expect that guy would have the encounter that he did when his dog tore off wherever it went and came back with a shredded coat and it'd been dragged. You know, I never knew that was about to unfold, but luckily I was in the right place at the right time. Now, those times and those chances are rare, but had I not been here, I would have never filmed that, never experienced it. And so although I'm saying that we might not be the most ideal people to capture real phenomena in the moment, we have to still continue to keep doing this, because I guess another way of looking at this is that we give people hope. We give people a voice. Once they see people like me putting myself out to the world without any shame or, care for ridicule, then hopefully that as well will be enough to make people that have had experiences speak out. I know what I saw was real. I know that something that modern day science discredits is here already. In how bigger numbers, I'm not sure, but I doubt for a minute that, what I saw was the only one, and somehow it's making the rounds around Earth and everybody else is seeing the same thing. I don't think that for a minute. I think that whatever I saw is here and has been here for a very, very, very long time. The way I saw this thing walking through the forest was so blasé. It seemed more at home in that forest than I did. And I have no answers, It's not like I can go to a library and pull out a book or a textbook that tells me everything I need to know about this creature. It doesn't exist. It shouldn't exist. And yet it does. And yet it does. I have a lot of questions, obviously, This experience has changed my life in so many ways. It's probably shaped the character that I am. Would I have even still had the interests that I have? Would I have formed the relationships in my life that I have had it not been for this experience? I don't know, and there'll be no way of telling how much this has impacted my life, but I know what I saw was real. I know that what I saw, if I had a gun to my head and someone said, tell me what you saw, what was it? Was it a cryptid? Was it an undiscovered creature or an extraterrestrial? I would say that it was more extraterrestrial. This thing felt otherworldly to me. The vibe, the aura was otherworldly. And I only know that now in hindsight, looking back, because at the time, thankfully, I thought it was a practical joke. I thought that this was all one big elaborate hoax. And had I not have thought that, had I been a bit older in my years or had more life experience or, some prior interest to this subject, I might have been terrified with what I saw. I might have been terrified. And I'm only too grateful that I was naive and I didn't know what I was looking at. But now that I'm reflecting and years have passed, I've still yet to see anything that resembles it even remotely. Like, nothing comes close. Nothing comes close. Yeah, of course I have things that bother me about my experience. There's things that really irritate me. I'm one of these people that needs answers to everything. And, I'm the kind of guy that if I get into a debate at a family function, I'm straight on Google or wherever it is trying to find out the correct answer or the way something works. That's just me. And unfortunately with this experience, I'm always going to have an itch because I'll never know truly where that experience took place. People say, go back and film there and investigate there. I don't have that luxury because unfortunately for me, at that time, I didn't know that in the next few minutes my life was going to change. I didn't know that something of relevance was going to happen. So therefore I wasn't paying attention to landmarks. I wasn't looking at where we was travelling on the road, thinking, one day in the future I might need to come back here. I just wasn't thinking like that. And so that really does bother me, that I could have been in that same forest many of times since and I'd been none the wiser. But that's why I get out here. That's why I'm here now, is to investigate hotspot areas that I know are within the vicinity. And where I am right now is one of those hotspot areas. This is an area that produces a lot of strange reports, very similar to some of the things that I've seen in my life, and I need to find out. I need to find out what's happening. Who's behind this? Does anyone know? Does anybody truly have the answers, or are we all just oblivious to these beings, these creatures that are living amongst us? I don't think that I don't think that everybody is oblivious. I think that some people do have the answers, and maybe some of those people are hiding in places that you wouldn't expect. In the next 20-30 minutes, this whole area where I'm standing right now will be cast into complete darkness. Now, the reason for me being here this late in the evening to investigate like this, boots on the ground, is because I've had some very interesting tip-offs. Tip-offs that, for the investigator like myself, you can't really ignore. You see, if you have an eyewitness on their own coming forward with a very interesting story, sometimes those stories, because you are getting so many, remain just that, an interesting story. If you get 10 to 15 people, however, over the span of 2 to 3 weeks, all telling me the same thing, that is more than a story. That is a reason for concern. That means to me, in my mind, that something imminent is about to happen over at the base. Now, like I've just said, I've been speaking to locals who live in this area, and as well as getting emails as well from people who visit or pass through this area, telling me that there has been an increase in activity over at the base. Now, what they mean and what they go on to tell me is that they have seen large convoys of unmarked vehicles arriving very late at night and leaving very early in the morning. Now, this could be routine. This could be something that's completely within the norm over at the military base. However, locals would be familiar with things like this. Large convoys are not something that are easily missed. And for me, I need to get a vantage point. I need to get to somewhere tonight where I can get eyes on and look across at the base, and hopefully we've hit the right night and we can film something a bit out of the ordinary.